నమస్కారం అండి.
నమస్కారం అండి. ఒక మహత్తరమైన వేదిక. అందులోనూ మనకి కంచి స్వామివారి యొక్క ఆశీస్సులతో నడుస్తున్నటువంటి విధానం కదా మరి.
Okay, I'll just hand over to the Shyam. So you will introduce and then hand over to you, sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So once again, I would like to introduce Rani Sadashiva Murthy Garu. He like it was a great delight to listen to him yesterday about Ithihasas. So yesterday he spoke about Ramayana, and today he's going to speak about Mahabharatam. And it was really a news for me that all the 18 Puranas and Mahabharata and Ramayana was called as Jaya. I was under the impression that only Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavata was called as Jaya. So even like adults are learning a lot. Thanks a lot, Rani Sadashiva Murthy Garu. Without further ado, over to you.
सर्वज्ञां सकलागमादि विनुतां स्वर्णेन्दु पीठस्थितां सर्वाचार्यनुतां सहस्रकमले सद्भावना गोचरां सर्वाघौघ विनाशिनीं सकलदां संविन्मयीं सर्वगां कामाक्षीं गुरुरूपिणीं हृदि भजे श्रीकामकोट्युज्ज्वलाम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृते वन्दे भगवन्तु पुनः पुनः सूत्रभाष्यकृते वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः अपार करुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखर गुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम् प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम् कामकोटिपीठेश्वरं कामाक्षी प्रथम किङ्करं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरेन्द्रशिष्यं शङ्करार्यं शिवङ्करं महादेवानन्दनन्दनं श्रीजयेन्द्रसरस्वतीं सर्वदेवमयात्मकं वन्दे श्रीजगद्गुरुम् कामकोटिगुरुपीठाध्यक्षं कामाक्षी प्रतिनिधिं काषायाम्बरधारिणं तप्तकाञ्चन विग्रहं भस्मोपेतमुखमण्डलं दण्डधरम् अभयङ्करं त्रिमूर्त्यात्मकं वन्दे श्रीजगद्गुरुं श्रीशङ्कर विजयेन्द्र सरस्वती स्वामिभ्यो नमः। समस्त गुरु देवताभ्यो नमः। सर्वेभ्यो नमः। Today is a very great day, auspicious day, because of for many reasons it is an auspicious day. Today it is Varalakshmi Vratam also, and Goddess Lakshmi in the form of knowledge is standing before us. That too, the source of all the knowledge text is Mahabharata. धर्मेच अर्थेच कामेच मोक्षेच भरतर्षभ यदि हास्ति तदन्यत्र यन्ने हास्ति न तत्क्वचित्. This was the spirit of Vedavyasa. This was the oath of Vedavyasa. Dharmecha, whatever we want to achieve in the universe is divided into 4 types, 4 groups. One is dharma, attaining our duty. The second one is artha, gaining the wealth. The third one is kama, that is fulfilling our desires. And the fourth one is moksha, to get relieved of the snares of the samsara. So these are the 4 things which we have to achieve in this human world. That is why these 4 are known as Purusharthas, Purushartha Chatushtayas. So this is the promise of Vedavyasa, Dharmecha, Ardhecha, Kamecha, Mokshecha, Bharatarshabha, Yadihasti Tadanyatra, Yannehasti, Natatkvachit. It was the oath of him. So according to this, whether it is about dharma, or about artha, or about kama, or about moksha, whatever we want to achieve, all these are available in the Mahabharata. Yadi hasti tadanyatra. Whatever is here, that can be seen elsewhere. Yanne hasti natat kvachit. Whatever is not here related to these four subjects cannot be seen anywhere else. That means this is the source for all other texts, all other themes, and all other activities, all other instructions like that. So now we will see certain things about Mahabharata. Mahabharatam is Mahatvat Bharatvatcha Mahabharata Uchate because of its heaviness in appearance, also in teaching. It is called Mahabharata. So now let us look at certain things. Particularly when we say Mahabharata, Itihasas and Puranas, we say that they are next to the Vedas. But in our ancient times, our people told Itihasa Purana Abhyam Vedam Samupabrahmayet. Itihasa, from Itihasa and from Purana, we have to get the Veda. We have to learn the instruction of Veda through Itihasa and Purana. It was our ancient Indian Maharshi's this one statement. Whereas we feel that first Vedas came into existence. After that, the further Vedic literature like Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads, Sutra literature, and etc. After that, Itihasas, those two Itihasas came into existence. Then Puranas came into existence. Like that, we are trained to believe like that because of the Western influence. Whereas our tradition says, if we want to learn about Vedas, the sources are Itihasas and Puranas. That's why even in Chandogya Upanishad and in Ashwalayana, Grihya Sutra, etc., they praised the greatness of Itihasas in many ways. Itihasa Purana ani Amritasya Kulyaha. That is Ashwalayana Grihya Sutra slogan. It is epics and Puranas are the nectarous streams. They say. That's why nectar, like what is the influence or what is the prabhava or impact of Amrita? When we take Amrita, we can become immortal. Similarly, if we study Puranas and this Itihasas, they will make us everlasting energy, everlasting name and fame, everlasting strength to do anything else. That is why Itihasa and Puranas are such things. And one who wants to become a true scholar must study. May study or other things are not like that. He must study Itihasas and Puranas. So this is. Then in Chandogya Upanishad, on par with the Vedas, these two are mentioned. Rigvedam Bhagavodhyevi, Yajurvedam Samavedam Atharvanam, Chaturtham Itihasa Puranam, Panchamam Vedanam Vedam. So this is a sentence from Chandogya Upanishad. These were the words of Sage Narada to Sanat Kumara. So he is telling, he reported to him that he had studied Rigveda. And after that, he studied Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda. The four Vedas studied. After that, the fifth of the Vedas, Itihasa Purana. So in those times, Itihasa and Purana together studied as a single text only. Now we have separated. Why this kind of separation? This is because our intellect is day by day is becoming weaker and weaker, and it is constantly decreasing. That's why we want to read only small books, not large books. That's why they have made entire Purana into 18 Puranas and they offer it to us. Even then we feel it difficult. Then Upapuranas are given. Then Aupapuranas are given. Then Upa Puranas are revealed. Like that 72 Puranas were referred to us by our ancient sages. When these many Puranas are offered, still what we are trying, we want to get some stories only from the Puranas. And in entirety, Puranas are not being studied. That is happening. Similarly, here, Itihasa Dvayam, regarding Itihasa Dvayam also, the same activity is going on. So here, on par with Rigveda, Narada is telling to Sanat Kumara that I have studied all the 4 Vedas. After that, the Panchama Veda, the status of Itihasa and Purana is such that it is considered as the Panchama Veda, that is 5th Veda. So, in Brihadaranyaka, similar sentences are there in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Are asya mahato bhutasya niswasitabhetat yad rigvedo yajurvedo samavedo athangirasah itihasa puranam vidya upanishadah shlokaah sutranyanu vyakhyānāni asyeva etani niswasitani. This is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. As mentioned, mahato bhutasya. What is that mahata bhuta? That is the source of all the universes. Paramatma, Paramapurusha. He is known as Mahat Bhuta. That Mahat Bhuta, from that Mahat Bhuta, the Uchvasa and Nishvasa, inhaling and exhaling activity, whatever is there, that was the literature. What kind of literature it was? From the inhaling and exhaling process came into existence the Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvangiras. That is Atharva Veda. After that, Itihasa came from his exhaling and inhaling, and Puranas came into, and all the Vidyas, Upanishads, Shlokas, Sutras, Anuvyakyanani and Vyakyanani, commentaries and sub-commentaries, all these were just the breathing of the great Paramatma Paramapurusha. That was the status given to Puranas in our Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and other Upanishadic literature. Upanishadic literature is a part of what? It is the part of Vedas. When it is a part of Vedas, Vedas many a time, very frequently, they mentioned about the Itihasas and Puranas. This is to be noted down by all of us. So here, in the name of Itihasa, we have this one. The Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Angiro Veda. Angiro Veda is Atharva Veda. Epics, Puranas, all disciplines of learning, Upanishads, Slokas, Sutra texts, their supplementary explanations and commentaries, are all this sprang out from exhalation of the ultimate reality, that Paramatma. And in Gopatha Brahmana, the Purvabhaga, second section, the 10th sutra is like this. Evam ime sarve vedaah nirmitaah sakalpaah sarahasyaah sabrahmanaah sopanishatkaah setihasaah sanvyakhyataah sapuranaah. So, thus all the Vedas, along with Kalpas, secrets, Brahmanas, Upanishads, Itihasas, Puranas, and commentaries are produced like that. Even in Gopatha Brahmana, there is a reference to these Itihasas. Then in Satapatha Brahmana, Rigvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Dhangirasahi, Itihasa, Puranam, Vidya, Upanishad, Shloka, Sutranyanu Vyakyanani, Vachayava Samrat Bhavishyati. So whoever studies all these becomes a Samrat, one who learns Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Angiroveda, epics, Puranas, all disciplines of learning, and Upanishads, Slokas, Sutra texts, their supplementary explanations and commentaries will become the monarch of speech. It was the assurance. What else is required? Do we need anything else than becoming a king of speech, a lord of speech? Nothing else. That's why this is assured for us. These are all citations from various sections of Vedic literature. From this we can understand how ancient the Itihasas and Puranas, how valuable they were, and how respectfully they were considered by our ancient seers and by our tradition. All these things can be understood from sentences of this kind. If Kalidasa says Mahabharata is great, okay, he is a successor to Vedavyasa, that's why he is telling like that. If some Bhavabhuti or Bhasa or some later poet says in praise of Purana, in praise of Ramayana and Mahabharata, we can say that just they are recent people, they said. But all the Upanishads, which were prior to the Mahabharata, etc., they also were telling in praise of these Itihasas and Puranas. That's why they are great. And now let us try to understand the etymological meaning, the root meaning of Itihasa. So epic and Puranas constitute an intermediary section writing between the Vedic literature and classical literature. Classical literature means kavyas, etc. Vedic literature means Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads, Grihya Sutras, Srauta Sutras, Sulba Sutras, etc. So, besides this, after the Vedic literature, before the Kavya literature, in between, a kind of literature is there. That literature is epic and Pauranic literature. So, here Itihasa is a Sanskrit name, and that Sanskrit name Itihasa, Iti, to, ha, indeed, asa, it was. So, indeed, it was. That is the meaning of Itihasa. Is the etymological observation of this word Itihasa. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata are the only couple of words considered under this section. There is no third text. We have to confine only to these two texts in the name of Itihasa. There is no other text. And particularly, Ramayana was written almost in the 24th Mahayuga, as we were studying, we were learning in our last class. And Mahabharata was written just 5,000 years ago. We have a link between Mahabharata time and Kali Yuga time, which begins in our modern history from Nandas. So between Nandas and this Mahabharata Janamejaya, there is a link. We can clearly understand. Sometime later we will learn about this. And Mahabharata is a great epic. As I was telling you, Bhatvat, Bharavatvacha, Mahabharata Uchati. Why? Because the message given in the Mahabharata is very valuable. It is a very great text. That's why, because of that message, by virtue of the message, valuable message, it is Mahatvat, Mahabharata. Second one is voluminous content. If we see Mahabharata, it is available in six volumes, which was published by 6 volumes published by this Gita Press. Like that, very huge content is there, even in the present available status. Actually, it is available in less than 1 lakh slokas, whereas in fact, according to the internal sources, it was written in 64 lakhs slokas. I was telling you on the other day. So out of 64 lakhs of slokas, it is available within a number of 1 lakh slokas. That's why that is the present state of Mahabharata. So what is the third reason for calling it Mahabharata? Bharatanam Mahajanma Mahabharatamityuta Niruktamasya Yoveda Sarvapapai Pramuchate. So it is the holy fruit associated with this Mahabharata. That is, Mahabharata belongs to such class of literature which gives the story of the great souls born in the race of Bharata. That's why if we just read it, we'll be relieved of all kinds of sins. It is true. How it is true, that we will be learned in course of time. So this is the grand life history of the descendants of the race of Bharatas is available here. And then, so they actually, Bharata, Mahabharata, Jaya. These are the three names popularly known and available for us, and three are not the names of the same text. How it is? Manvadi Bharatam Kechid Astikadi Pare Tadhopari Charadyanye Viprasamyagadhiyate. So Manvadi Bharatam Kechid. So according to some people, it is Manvadi Bharata. From Manu, the Bharata narration is there. The first beginning is with the narration of Suta to the sages of the ashram of Saunaka. This beginning is known to be the Manvadi beginning. And the second one is this commences immediately after the Benedict stanza Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet, like that it begins. So that is known as Manvadi Bharata. The second one is Astikadi, is the second traditionally accepted beginning. This was narration begun by Vaisampayana, the disciple of Vyasa, to the king Janamejaya on the occasion of Sarpayaga. So this is known as the Astikadi. This begins with Astika Parva. This is second one. And the third one is Uparicharadi. Uparicharu was one of the important characters of Mahabharata. The beginning with the Amshavatara Parva. This starts with the narration of the record of genealogy of Bharata's race. That's why this is known as Uparichara Vasu Bharata. So thus, according to these three beginnings, this great epic got three names: Bharata, Mahabharata, and Jaya. Mahabharata is a huge one. Bharata is a smaller one. Jaya is a still extended text of Mahabharata. That is Chaturvimsati Sahasrim Chakre Bharata Samhitam Upakhyanayir Vinatavat Bharatam Purochate Budhai. So, as Ramayana is having 24 shlokas, if we remove all subsections and other stories from Mahabharata and exclusively if we confine to the story of Kauravas and Pandavas, then it is known as Bharata and its length is only 24,000 shlokas. At a later stage, when it is extended to a greater length of 1 lakh slokas, it is called Mahabharata. It is called Jaya, yet at a still later stage, commonly along with the other members of the Pauranic and epic literature. So like this, there are three names. How many names are there for Mahabharata? Are there any children listening to this?
Three. There are three names.
Three names. What are they?
Jaya, Bharata, and Mahabharata.
Jaya, Bharata, and Mahabharata. Then what is Jaya, and what is Bharata, and what is Mahabharata? Then Vyasa, the author of the text. As the tradition declares, the great sage Vedavyasa, the son of the celebrated sage Parasara and Satyavati, was the author of the Mahabharata. If children are there, I would like to ask them one important question here. Okay. Actually, who is the hero of the Mahabharata? That's a question.
Arjuna.
You can tell some other names also. Arjuna is not the hero, according to me.
The Pandavas.
Pandavas also are not heroes.
Krishna?
Krishna also is not hero.
Vedavyasa.
Yes, you are right. You hit the goal. That's why Vedavyasa is the hero of Mahabharata. How and why?
He wrote it himself.
He wrote it, but Valmiki also wrote Ramayana. Just that simple reason, can we call Valmiki as the hero of Ramayana?
No.
Then, what's the reason?
Vyasa was also a character in the Mahabharata.
Yes. If he is one of the characters, can we call him the hero?
Without him, all the events would not have happened in the Mahabharata.
Actually, yes, you are near the bush, and the reason is, though Vedavyasa was one of the characters, he didn't confine himself to be one of the characters. Wherever there was a problem in the story, run of the story, he used to interfere, he used to guide all. Without the help of Vedavyasa, nowhere the problems of the Mahabharata throughout could be cleared. That's why Vedavyasa was the hero. He didn't allow any other person to be the hero of the play. Just he highlighted every character that was there. But he didn't allow any other characters to dominate him, including Krishna. For the sake of Krishna, he again wrote Bhagavata. It's a different the occasion. But he didn't allow Krishna also to dominate him. That was Vedavyasa. Who is Vedavyasa?
The author of the Mahabharata.
Author of the Mahabharata is one aspect.
Hero too.
So have you gone through the Bhagavata? In the Bhagavata, how many incarnations of Vishnu were explained?
One.
Only one. Incarnation. Incarnation.
No, 10, sorry.
We can't say. It's not a problem. We are here to help you. So anybody else? How many avatars?
24.
Yes, exactly. 24 avatars. Out of these 24 avatars, Vedavyasa is also one among. That's why such a great person. He is also Vishnu, and Krishna also is Vishnu. So one avatara is dominating the other avatara. This very often occurs in the Puranas and Itihasas. Parashurama also is Vishnu avatara, and Sri Rama also is Vishnu avatara. Both are incarnations of the same God, but at the same time, Rama dominated Parashurama. That is there. And at the same time, he worshipped Parashurama also. So, in this manner, Vedavyasa didn't allow even Krishna to dominate him throughout the Mahabharata. So, the inner thread of Mahabharata was in the hands of Vedavyasa. He didn't allow to hand it over to any other character. So that's why his externally he wanted to narrate the story of the Dhartarashtra's and Pandavas. Usually people say Kauravas and Pandavas. It is wrong, because who was the why these sons of Dhritarashtra were called Kauravas? Can anyone tell?
Don't know. I forgot.
Because they were part of the Kuru dynasty?
Exactly. When they are the part of Kuru dynasty, weren't Pandavas a part of Kuru dynasty?
Yes, they were.
Yes. Then if the sons of Dhritarashtra are Kauravas, the sons of Pandu king also should be Kauravas only.
No, because the 5 sons of Pandu is called Pandavas.
Similarly, the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra should be called Dhartara. Yes. Dhritarashtra's children are known as Dhartarashtra. Dhritarashtra children. But popularly, people started calling these Kauravas as the sons of Dhritarashtra as Kauravas, and then the sons of Pandu as Pandavas. But if we start thinking in a subtle manner, Pandavas and Dhartarashtras both are Kauravas. So it is so. So here there is a declaration by the Vedavyasa. That is, Yadihasti tadanyatra, Yannehasti nakutrachit natat kvachit. In 2 ways it is. So with reference to the 4 human objects, Dharma, Artha, kama and moksha, whatever we want, that we can get, that is about. So, as far as the time of Mahabharata writing is to be known, it is 3102 BC, people say. Before Christ, 3102. So, after the Mahabharata war, then Vedavyasa started writing it. In fact, he authored it. Vyasena Gradhitam. I was telling you on the other day. Valmiki just narrated and it was transmitted from one generation to the other generation through oral tradition. Whereas Vedavyasa authored Mahabharata and it was written by Ganesha. First scribe, if we have to mention in the history, he was first known scribe. We do not know, unknown people, how many people did write. But the first scribe is Ganesha. He wrote while Vedavyasa was narrating. So this is one more after that. So historicity of the Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is a story taken place. I didn't tell. Sukamuni narrated it, done by Vedavyasa only. You please remember, there are three versions of Mahabharata: Bharata, Mahabharata, and Jaya. Who narrated to whom? One is narrated by Vaisampayana to Janamejaya. Similarly, the other two were narrated by someone to the someone. So narrators are different and others are different. Similarly, Bhagavata was authored by Vedavyasa only, but it was narrated and popularized by Shuka Maharaj. He started telling everywhere. Actually, he went to near Pehova, which is 152 kilometers away from Kurukshetra, place named Adibadari. In that Adibadari is different from the Badari Kshetra. So in that Adibadari, for the first time, Sukamuni narrated Bhagavata Purana to the sages. So the same Sukamuni narrated Bhagavata Purana to Parikshit also. The division of the Mahabharata. As far as the division of the Mahabharata is concerned, it is majorly in 18 parvas. We will be learning the names of the 18 parvas very soon. And in each parva, there is a subsection named Upaparva. And along with Upaparvas, there are more than 200 Upakhyanas. Upakhyana means episodes, some small stories. Here and there, some small stories are given to substantiate or to support the main thought of the Mahabharata. That is why those are known as Upakhyanas. They are 200 in number. So like this. This is the structure of these three. This division of the Mahabharata is very important for us to understand and appreciate what Mahabharata is. If anybody says what is Mahabharata, broadly it is having 18 parvas and then it has 100 upaparvas in its subsections, and in the 100 upaparvas there are 200 upakhyanas along with the main story. So each upakhyana is a small story, just like an anecdote added to the main story to support various dharmic problems, that is dealing with all aspects of human life. And Mahabharata and devotion, Bhakti and Mahabharata. Should we study the Mahabharata with great devotion only, or should we study Mahabharata with a spirit of an active person in our life, or should we study Mahabharata to gain knowledge? Knowledge ultimate. So these are the three ways. For all these three ways, yes, it can satisfy all these three equally. Whoever wants to study with all devotion, he can see the element and spirit of devotion in every page, every shloka, every letter. If anybody wants to learn it with a spirit to be active in life, Yes, in every sentence we can see the spirit of action. And if we want to become a great philosopher, then also Mahabharata should be studied carefully. So karma is there, bhakti is there, and jnana also is there. And after that, the knowledge required for obtaining salvation, moksha, also is available here. In Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra, in the Bhishma Parva, whatever is there, that propagates the bhakti element in it. And even Shiva Sahasranama, popular Shiva Sahasranama also is taken from Mahabharata only. So like this, it is a great treasure house of bhakti. And after that, encyclopedic nature of the Mahabharata. So all facts of statecraft, the heights of valor, the unfathomable depth of human heart, heartening graphic pictures of Indian culture and civilization, ideals of noble social life, high principles of Indian philosophy, whatnot. Under the roof of the sky, if you say that this is the topmost thing to be learned, the topmost thing which is to be learned can be seen in the Mahabharata. Wonderful subhashitas are there, good sayings, and things related to astronomy, cosmology, environmental science, flora and fauna, all these available in the Mahabharata. Then the divine song Bhagavad Gita, Vidurunitis, Bhishma Gita, Yaksha Parvas, Yaksha Prasnas, all these are available in the Mahabharata. Only thing is, we need patience, we need interest, we need love to understand all these things. Now, let us take the names of Mahabharatas, the 18 Parvas in the Mahabharata. First one is Adi Parva, second one is Sabha Parva, then Vana Parva, Virata Parva, Udyoga Parva. These 5 Parvas make one phase, and from 6th Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Shalya, Sauptika, up to this, these are known as Yuddha Parvas. And from Sri Parva, Shanti Parva, Anushasana Parva, up to Shanti Parva and Sri Parva, lament of all the people, particularly women and kinsmen, because of the loss of Kurus and other heroes. And in the Shanti Parva, particularly, this is a wonderful Parva of all the Parvas. Just like Bhishma Parva and Shanti Parva, these 2 Parvas are very much essential when we want to learn a great thing. After that, Anushasana Parva. These are the 3 Parvas are to be concentrated in studying Mahabharata. Particularly in Virat Parva, there are certain secrets to be known. And the rest of the things. And in the Drona Parva, we have wonderful descriptions of the war. All war deployments are available from Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva, Shalya Parva, and Sauptika Parva. If we have to fight against our enemies, what kind of deployments are necessary? War deployments. That is available in the Vyuha Rachana, they say in Sanskrit, and the deployments we say in military, this one. And that kind of war strategies are available. Wonderful war strategies are available in all these 5 Parvas. Every piece of shloka gives a lot of information. So, Adi Parva, Sabha Parva is about, Adi Parva is particularly about the genealogy of Bharatas. And then Sabha Parva is the growth of, after the Adi Parva, the growth of Pandavas, Kauravas, the Vaibhava or the glory of Pandavas can be seen in Sabha Parva. After that, they entered Vana forest after their defeat in the dice play. After that, in guise, they stayed in Virata's kingdom for 1 year. Their wonderful things took place. So, like this, from Anushasana Parva to Swargarohana Parva, certain problems which occurred in earlier Parvas are responded in a logical manner and also in a sequential manner also. Up to Swargarohana Parva, this is kind of analysis. So these are all, these 18 Parvas are Anushasana Parva, Ashwamedhika Parva, Ashramavashika Parva, Mausala Parva, Mahaprasthanika Parva, Sargarohana Parva. Mausala Parva, here we can see the end of a great race of Yadavas, Yaduvamsha, including the Niryana of Krishna, passing away of Krishna. All these were explained in the Mahabharata. After that, we have Adi Parvani. In Parva wise, I told you in the beginning, 18 Mahaparvas are there. In each Parva, some Upaparvas are there. So, the names of Upaparvas in the Adi Parva, Anukramanika Parva, Parvasangraha Parva, Paushya Parva, Pauloma Parva, Astika Parva, Amshavatara Parva. Amshavatarana Parva describes about the birth of Pandavas and Kauravas with different amshas. So, with different divine aspects in them from different sources. All these things are there. And Sambhava Parva, Jatugruha Parva, and Hidimbavadha Parva, Bakavadha Parva, Chaitra Parva, Swayamvara Parva. Here, the marriage of Draupadi and Pancha Pandavas, 5 Pandavas, is explained. And Vaivahik Parva is a continuation to Swayamvara Parva. Then Viduragamana, Rajya Labha Parva, and Arjuna Vanavasa Parva, and Subhadra Harana Parva, Harana Harana Parva, then Khandavadaha Parva. During the Khandavadaha Parva, Arjuna could get the Gandiva, a special bow for his heroic power. So, Maya Darshana Parva, this is Maya Sabha. Here, usually in modern times, we see that the beauty of Maya Sabha is presented wonderfully in many serials and etc. But this Maya Sabha, in the Mahabharata, he explains that there were 5 Sabhas earlier to Maya Sabha in 5 lokas. Brahma Sabha, and then Varuna Sabha, and then Indra Sabha, similarly Yama Sabha, after that Agni Sabha. These 5 Sabhas are exemplary Sabhas. They are. Sabha means not merely just a hall, it is a very big and huge structure constructed with all architectural virtues. Such one is Maya Sabha. This is one of the wonders of ancient times. So that Maya Darshana Sabha, Maya Darshana Parva is like that. After this, Sabha Parva, Sabha Kriya Parva, Lokapala Sabha Khyana Parva. Here in Lokapala Sabha Khyana Parva, the 5 Sabhas which were explained by me are available. Full description is there. And after that, Rajasuya Arambha Parva. Rajasuya Yaga was performed by Dharmaraja. Why? To show his power over all other kings. One who performs Rajasuya just for the sake of passing time, he doesn't perform it. If a person declares that he is going to perform Rajasuya, it is a declaration that if anyone on the globe is there to defeat him, yes, come and defeat. If you cannot defeat, you please become my regent king. Regent king is, in Telugu, it is known as Samantara, subordinate king to me. You should become a subordinate king to me. Under that condition, you can fight against me, and if you are defeated, you can become Samantaraja, subordinate king to me. Otherwise, I will surrender to you. Come on, you win over me. That was an open challenge. So accordingly, Rajasuya Arambha Parva, it was started. And in the beginning of Rajasuya Parva itself, Krishna's strategy is that if Jarasandha comes in the main war of Mahabharata, it will be difficult to Pandavas to kill him there. That's why, in a trickery manner, he took Bhima and Arjuna, and he met Jarasandha, and he told him, come on, we need a fight with you. Then he chose Bhima, and in the duel fight between Bhima and Jarasandha, Jarasandha was killed by Bhima with the help of, under the guidance of Krishna. That was a great event, and because he killed Jarasandha because of this reason, he mentions it in the main story of Mahabharata, in the main war. While the main war was in progress, Krishna says, "Weren't you killed? Hadn't you killed killed Jarasandha during Rajasuya Yaga? It would have been a great task for us to face him in this war. So you have done a right thing," he tells. That's why Jarasandha Vadha was there. And then Digvijaya Parva. Digvijaya here we can have a wonderful geographical description of the entire globe. So there were interconnections between all the continents of the globe, as explained in the Mahabharata. Nowadays, they were swallowed by ocean. But in those times, there were interconnecting links between one khanda and the other khanda throughout the earth. So, like they went through all the khandas, all the continents of the earth, and they defeated all the kings, and they brought lot many gifts from them, and they offered them to Dharmaraja, and he became the richest. In such a way, Rasuyaga was performed. Argabhiharana Parva, and then Shishupala Vadha. Shishupala also was killed for the same reason, because if he had he been left unkilled here, he would have participated in the Mahabharata war on the side of Duryodhana. Then killing him would have become a great task. That's why Shishupala was simply killed by Sri Krishna by using his Sudarshan Chakra. Then Dyota Parva, Anudyota Parva. These two, twice they played Dyota. Once they got defeated, and by grace of Dhritarashtra, they could get their kingdom back. But second time, Maya Dyota, the Dyota, the dice, play of dice, with a trickery mind, they played it and they got defeated. This is Sabha Parva. In the Sabha Parva, we have 10 Upaparvas. And after that, Vana Parva. This is a wonderful thing. Even in case of Ramayana, we have seen, here also we have seen, whoever stayed in the forest, whether it was Rama or Pandavas, they didn't waste their time. They visited all ashramas. While visiting all ashramas, they learned many great things there. That is. So even in Aranya Parva, while learning many things from the sages, at the same time they had great experiences also. And here Aranya Parva, after that Kimmiravadha Parva. In this Kimmiravadha Parva, they so here in the Kimmiravadha, Kimmira was a demon, he was killed there. And Arjuna Abhigamana Parva, Kirata Parva. Arjuna went to the Indrakiladri. By mistake, modern people say that Indrakiladri is a mountain near Vijayawada. It is not that Indrakiladri to which Arjuna went. The Indrakiladri, where Arjuna did his penance, was situated in Himalayan range. There he did his penance. There he had a combat with Shiva directly, who came there in the guise of a hunter, a Kirata. And after that, during the fight, Shiva was pleased with the devotion of Arjuna, and he gave him Pashupastra. So that was the greatness of Arjuna. As told by someone here in the beginning, if we want to say a true hero in the entire Mahabharata, besides Vedavyasa, that is Arjuna only. So, why Arjuna is such a great person? We will, at the end of the narration, if we find time, I will explain you why Arjuna is such a great one. So, Kirata Parva, Indraloka Abhigamana Parva. After that, Vedavyasa came there and he advised in this Arjuna to go to Indraloka to get some more astras. There he had a curse from Urvashi, because of which he had to become Brihannala during Virata Parva. So that is there. And Nalopakhyana, one of the greatest kings, one of the 16 greatest kings is this Nala, and his story is there. And Tirthayatra Parva. After that, they went on visiting Tirthayatras. Tirthayatra is a wonderful experience for everyone. It is not just to have the holy effect over us, but in every Tirtha, actually in the entire Bharata, in our motherland, in every part there is a wonderful experience if we can go and see. That is why Tirthayatra was useful in two ways. One is from tourism point of view. The other one is its holiness point of view. So that is. Then Jatasura Vadhaparva. Jatasura also another demon. He was killed there. And Yaksha Yuddha Parva. And in the Yaksha Yuddha Parva, we have the Yaksha Prasnas. So here also the decision of Yudhishthira was very much stunning. While they were staying in some place, suddenly they got thirsty feeling. A deadly thirsty that feeling was. So first, in search of water, Bhima was sent. Bhima had a combat with Yaksha and he died. And after that, Arjuna went. He had a fight. He also got died. Then Nakula and Sahadeva also fell down. Then Yudhishthira came there. There was a dialogue between Yaksha and Yudhishthira. Yaksha asked him almost 108 questions. All the 108 questions of Yaksha were answered by Yudhishthira. When all the questions were answered, he got satisfied. Okay, because I am satisfied with your answers, I would like to give you one boon. That is, you choose any of the rest of the four brothers. I will allow him to come back to life. But others have to die. So this is a condition. Who would you like to choose? He said. Then, very interestingly, Yudhishthira said, I want Nakula to come to life. Why did you forego Bhima and Arjuna? Arjuna was he is a great warrior, and Bhima also is a great warrior. Because with the strength of Bhima or Arjuna, you can win over the Kauravas. Why do you choose Nakula? He said, no. My father has two wives. One is Kunti. The other one is Madri. So, as the son of Kunti, I am alive. Okay. As the son of Madri, there must be one son. That's why you please give me Nakula, he said. So, because of his last request, Yaksha was convinced. Yaksha was none else than his own father, this Yudhishthira's father, that is, with the grace of whom Yudhishthira was born, that
Yama.
God, Yama. So he said, okay, I am bringing all the four brothers to life. You need not worry. And after that, Nivata Kavachas. This Nivata Kavacha Yuddha was a wonderful Yuddha in the Mahabharata. So he went to the netherworlds, Patalaloka, and Arjuna had a combat with Nivata Kavachas, and he killed all those people who are indefeatable in the world. Even such people were effortlessly killed by Arjuna. That was the greatness of Arjuna. And after that, Ajagara Parva. Similarly, Markandeya Samasya Parva. Draupadi Satyabhama Samvada Parva. Khoshayatra Parva. Mrugaswapnodbhava Parva. Vrihi Dronika Parva. Draupadi Harana Parva. Jayadratha. Draupadi was abducted by Jayadratha. Actually, by relation, he becomes a brother of Draupadi. But he had some bad intention behind abducting her. So he was insulted by Pandavas later. And after that, Ramopakhyana Parva. Here again the story of Rama in brief was explained there. Pativrata Mahatmya Parva, Kundalaharana Parva, Araneya Parva, all these are interesting parvas. One must study from the story point of view. After that, Virata Parva. The Pandava Pravesha Parva, there is one beautiful Durga Devi Stotra, which is very, very important. By studying Durga Devi Stotra, definitely it will rain. In a rainless place for 40 days, if we recite Durga Devi Parva, this Durga Devi Stotra there, it will definitely grace us to have rains. Similarly, there are many other powers in Durga Devi Stotra, by reciting which we can get such a powerful grace and powerful favor from Durga Devi. That is the prayer offered by Yudhishthira to Durga. That Durga was Mahamaya, who was replaced to save Krishna, whom the Kamsa wanted to kill the female baby. That female baby was Mahamaya. The same Mahamaya is Gandhika here. So similarly, Samayapalana Parva, Kichakavadha Parva, Goharana Parva, Vaivahika Parva, all these are. In the Uttara during the Vaivahika Parva, before that, in the Uttara we can see the Parakrama or the valor of Arjuna. Wonderful fight. So this is. After that, Udyoga Parva, Shenodyoga Parva, Sanjayana Parva, Prajagara Parva, Yana Sandhi Parva, Bhagavad Dhyana Parva, Sainya Nindayana Parva, Uluka Dutagamana Parva, Radhati Ratha Sankhyanā Parva, Ampopakhyana Parva. All these parvas tell some stories related to Mahabharata about the greatness of different warriors. Here, some efforts to make Sandhi between Kauravas and Pandavas also was done. But all these are there. And after that, Jambu Khanda Vinirmana Parva, Bhumi Parva, Srimad Bhagavad Gita Parva, Bhishmavadha Parva. Here, some interesting thing is there. I would like to explain you all. One is this Jambu Khanda Vinirmana Parva. Many people ask us a question. The modern Kurukshetra is a very small place. When this is a small place, how 18 Akshahinis of army could be accommodated in this small village like Kurukshetra? This is. Actually, Kurukshetra is the main place of war. But the entire 18 Akshauhini Sena, if we read the Mahabharata, we can see that the army extended and placed up to the beginning of Hastinapura, Delhi. A part of Sainya is kept in Delhi. Some part of the Sainya is kept in Meerut. Some part is in the Kurukshetra. Like that, they have distributed the signs up to Punjab also. From the beginning of Yamuna River also. So all these are there. We can have the description. Sometime I will give you the entire picture of Kurukshetra, where all the armies are kept. That is there. And regarding Bhagavad Gita, another interesting thing is, when was Bhagavad Gita imparted to Arjuna by Krishna, Varshini and Charvi?
When Arjuna didn't want to fight, so Krishna told him the Bhagavad Gita and he stopped everything.
Yeah, excellent. So, so was it in the beginning of the war, or before the beginning of the war, or in the midst of the war?
Before the beginning of the war?
Yes, before the beginning of the war. Good. And now, what is the first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita? Who said the first shloka in the Bhagavad Gita? Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Have you ever read this shloka? Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. This was the shloka of Dhritarashtra to Sanjaya. He was asking, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Kurukshetra is Dharma Kshetra. It is the place for Dharma. Such a great holy place it is. In that holy Kurukshetra, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, with a desire to fight. Samavetaha, my children, Mamaka, Pandavas, Chaiva, my children and children of Pandu. All of them just they settled there to start their fighting. So, Mamaka, Pandavas, Chaiva, Kimakurvata Sanjaya, having met there with an intention to fight, what did they do? It was the first question. So, what did they do? It is a question. In which tense? In past tense. So, he was asking about a past event. Already, war was in progress. By the time Dhritarashtra was asking Sanjaya about the war, Bhishma has fallen. That was on which day of the war? 10th day of the war. So on the 10th day of the war, Dhritarashtra was asking Sanjaya what had happened there. Then Sanjaya started narrating. 10 days back, it had happened like this. So like that he started narrating, and during that, what had happened there, he was explaining. So in this gap, what had happened, I will explain you. So it was on Kartika Masa Amavasya date, the war between Kauravas and Pandavas began. That was the Kartika Masa and the Amavasya. That was the day on which Mahabharata began. That is not Mahabharata. The war had to be started. There Arjuna got discouragement and he wanted to quit the war, and he told, I don't want to fight against my own relatives. So, Nakanche Vijayam Krishna, Nacharajam Sukhanicha, Kimme Rajyena Govinda, Kim Bhogair Jivitenava, he said. So, this kind of expression was made by Arjuna in the beginning of the war on the Amavasya day. But nowadays, we celebrate Bhagavad Gita as the Bhagavad Gita Jayanti. On which date? Amavasya day, war began.
Yeah.
And Bhagavad Gita was told on Amavasya day, important Amavasya day to Arjuna, secretly by Krishna. That was there. But we celebrate Bhagavad Gita Jayanti on which date? This Margasirsha Suddha Ekadasi takes place on which day? On which month? Margasirsha is the month comes after Kartika. So from Amavasya of Kartika to Margashirsha, how many days? They can be 10 to 11 days. So till the 11th day, only after the fall of Bhishma, then he started asking Dhritarashtra. Till the 10th day, he had no curiosity to know about the developments of war. On the day of the fall of Bhishma, Vyasa came there. Vyasa gave divine eyes to Sanjaya. With the divine eyes, he started viewing what had happened and what would happen. All these things. So then he asked, Dhritarashtra asked, my dear Sanjaya, what had happened? Please explain to me. Why Bhishma had fallen? Bhishma was a great warrior. Is it possible to anyone to kill him in the war? He is having Svecha Marana. Only by his desire he can be killed, but not with the efforts and attempts of anyone else. When this is the situation, how could he fall? He asked. Then he started narrating. So, while narrating the story, Bhagavad Gita was revealed through the words of Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra to the world. That was on Margasirsha Suddha Ekadasi. Till that time, it was a secret Upadesha only to Arjuna by Sri Krishna. So, though it was imparted to Arjuna by Krishna on Kartika Amavasya, it reached the people, it reached the world through the conversation of Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra on the Margasirsha Sudha Ekadasi. That's why we celebrate it as the Bhagavad Gita Jayanti. That's a secret that we can have in this Mahabharata. So Bhishma, during the Bhishmavadha Parva, we can have this. And after that, Drona Parva, Upaparvas are 8. Drona Abhisheka, Samsaptaka Vadha Parva, Abhimanyu Vadha Parva, Pratigna Parva, Jayadratha Vadha Parva. Of course, Samsaptaka Vadha Parva is a kind of interesting thing here. That is Nalika Banas. A kind of arrows named Nalikas. Nalika is pistol-like instruments he had with him. Samsaptakas had a separate style of fighting. They don't fight with the opponents directly with arrows and bows. In troops, they come, they attack from all sides, they hold the enemy, and they just close the nose of the enemy and they kill him by stopping the breath. That was the technique of war technique of Samsaptakas. Such kind of people, heroes they were. Then Krishna and Arjuna went there. The fighting was on full race. Then Arjuna took the Nalika instruments. Nalika is just like a pistol. And there, the lead bullets are there in it. The explanation is there in the Mahabharata. We never try to read it. So he started, when the enemy is nearest to us, very close to us, when we cannot even use our swords, we can use this kind of Nalikas. The description is available. So by using them, he killed all the Samsat. That is one thing. And after that, Abhimanyu was killed. We know how pitiably all the Kauravas together killed Abhimanyu, including Karna. Though he was known as a Dharmamurti, he was the first person who did lot of injustice, who was the reason for killing Abhimanyu by breaking the Kavacha from backside. And after that, when this Abhimanyu demanded for giving a sword to him, he offered the knife to him, and with the same knife, he stabbed him from front side, and all the heroes together killed Abhimanyu. That was one. After that, a wonderful situation in entire 18 parvas of 18 days Yuddha of Mahabharata is that took place in the Pratigna Parva and Jayadratha Vadha Parva. Every moment, every minute there is a wonderful event took place. In the Pratigna Parva, Arjuna took a Pratigna to kill Jayadratha by the next evening, failing which he wanted to kill himself by observing Prayopavesa. Then Krishna told, do you think it is possible to kill Jayadratha so easily? Because he is in the protection of all such great warriors like Drona and others. How do you take such a great woe? It is not possible. So please think for a second time. Then Arjuna replied, Krishna, I have belief in two people. One is yourself and the other one is Ishvara. So with the grace of Ishvara and your help, I can kill Jayadratha, he said. He didn't tell, I can kill him by myself. He didn't tell it. Because of your help and the help of Ishvara, I can kill. So after that, whole the night he didn't sleep, but he observed japa of Pashupati japa. And early in the morning, he got a beautiful dream. In the dream, he saw a beautiful lake. From that lake, 2 lotuses came out, and well-bloomed lotuses. From one lotus, he could see a beautiful divine bow, Dhanush. And from the other, he got a beautiful arrow. Yes, those bow and arrow merged in Arjuna. That was the dream he had. The same he explained to Krishna. Okay, today victory is yours. Let us fight. Krishna told, and he blew the Pajajanya Shankha, and Arjuna blew the Devadatta Shankha, and they started entering the army of Kauravas. Very fast they crossed 24 yojanas. You can see how extended the Kurukshetra Ranangana, the war field. Yojana is 9.25 kilometers. So up to 24 kilometers, the entire army was spread. Everywhere they started defeating all the enemies. But only the counsel of Krishna, Panchajanya sound is heard even from long distance by Pandavas, and the counsel of Arjuna, Devadatta, is not heard by them after they entered the war field. That's why Yudhishthira sent Bhima in support of Arjuna. When he entered and they reached the midst of the war field, there in that war, Arjuna is a great archer, we know, and Bhima also was equally a great archer like Arjuna. That's why 14 times in the Dhanur Yuddha, Bhima defeated Karna, and 15th time Karna broke the Dhanus of Bhima, and Bhima has a special style of fight. Of course, we don't have that much time to explain all those things. And after that, he started entering. Then Bhagadatta, son of Narakasura, came there. And Bhagadatta has a great the Rakshasa elephant. That elephant started it was about to kill Bhima. In front of Arjuna, there were 7 Maha warriors, great warriors, and he was answering them. And at the same time, having heard the sound of the elephant, he hurled Ardhachandra Banas, and he killed that elephant, that great demoness elephant it is, that was killed. After that, then he had a combat with Bhagadatta. Bhagadatta was having a great Narayanastra with him, about which only Krishna knows. That Narayanastra, actually, who is the father of Bhagadatta? Narakasura. Narakasura was the son of whom? Whose son he was? Narakasura was the son of whom?
Don't know.
Okay. Narakasura was the son of Bhudevi and Mahavishnu in the Varahamurti, Varaha Avatara. So he was born in Krita Yuga, and during Krita Yuga he was very good. During Treta Yuga he was very good. But during Dwapara Yuga, the Asura Shakti in Narakasura rose, and he started doing harm to all the people. When this was the situation, Bhudevi requested Varahamurti to give him a great astra for his protection. That Narayanastra was given to him by Varahamurti to Narakasura. That was transferred to Bhagadatta by Narakasura at the time of being killed by Krishna. That astra is there. Bhagadatta used that astra against Arjuna. But Arjuna cannot give reply to it. Krishna knows this. That's why while the chariot was moving forward to fight against Bhagadatta, immediately he left the reins of the horses and he stood up from the chariot. When Krishna stood up from the chariot, the Narayanastra came and became a garland, and it adorned the neck of Krishna. Then Arjuna told, what a worse thing you have done. Had you given me a chance, I would have given a reply to that astra. He told, no, it is not an ordinary astra. It was given by Varahamurti. Only answer for that is myself. That's why I received it. You don't worry about it. Come on, you fight. Now you kill Bhagavatta. If you miss the opportunity to kill Bhagavatta now, you cannot kill forever, she said. Here, a wonderful thing is there. That is, the people who crossed 200 years of age used to have Karna Sutras. golden Karna Sutras. Why? Because they cannot open their eyes because of their old age. That's why they use it to make some holes in the eyelashes, and through that they use it to insert the golden threads, and the golden threads they use it to tie up to their ears so that they can open their eyes constantly. That was the thing. And Bhagadatta crossed 200 years, so he cannot open his eyes. So he was wearing those golden threads. This is there in the Mahabharata. We never study it. That's why. So before Arjuna knows this. That's why what Arjuna did is, with very two ordinary arrows, he cut the thread. From both sides. After cutting the thread, the eyelashes fall down and he could not open his eyes. Immediately, with another ordinary arrow, he killed Bhagadatta. That is one. And after the death of Bhagadatta, now Krishna told, our horses are very much tired, so we need some relax now. Where they can take relax, it is in the midst of the war field. Then Arjuna told, okay, you relieve the horses. You release the horses, he said. When he said to release the horses, Krishna released them. When Krishna released, it is in the middle of the war field where all enemies are there surrounding them. Within minutes, in less than minutes and fractions of minutes, he created a great fort of arrows. Arjuna, that was a wonderful fort. And within the fort, the Krishna, Arjuna, Satyaki, and Bhima, all these were there. Okay, what is happening inside the fort? The Kauravas wanted to know, but they could not break the fort. That was the archery, greatness of archery of Arjuna. So in the meanwhile, he said, okay, we are in safe place now. What about horses' thirst? You need not worry. He used an arrow and he created a beautiful kasara. Kasara means a water tank. And after creating a lake there, water lake, there he produced with another arrow beautiful lotuses and other things. The horses like to eat the seeds of lotus seeds. That's why lotus seeds were offered to all the horses. They ate, and after that, again, by a single arrow, the entire fort of the arrows, which was built by him, was destroyed by him, by Arjuna only. That was made. That place is there even near Kurukshetra somewhere. Even there, the local people tell this story. That is there in the Mahabharata also. So such beautiful things wonderfully were narrated there. And after that, they had a combat with Jayadratha, and Jayadratha's head was, he was beheaded, and there was a boon given by Jayadratha's father to Jayadratha, that from whose hands your head falls down, the head of that person will be broken into 1,000 pieces. That was the boon given by him. So Jayadratha's father was offering his evening arghyas to the sun. At that time, till that time, in an identifiable manner, the head of the Jayadratha was made into pieces and pieces. It was full of blood. Now, with Vayvi Astra Prayoga, he allowed this head of Jayadratha to fall into the hands of his father while he was offering arghya to sun. On seeing this bloody head, he dropped it. When he dropped, it was the boon given by him that from whose hands the head falls down, the head of that person will be broken into 1,000 pieces. That's why Jayadratha's father also was killed. This is the plan. This is the strategy. This kind of things, many things were there. And after that, Jayadratha's episode, we have Ghatotkacha Vadha Parva. After Ghatotkacha Vadha Parva, Drona Vadha Parva, and Narayanastra Moksha Parva, all these were there. And after that, Karna Parva, we have only one Upaparva, that is Karna Parva. See, in Selya Parva, we have Selya Parva, the Hrada Pravesha Parva and Gada Parva. There, the fight between Duryodhana and Bhima took place, in which Duryodhana's Urudvaya, the thighs, were broken by Bhima. So this is. After that, Sauptika Parva, here Ashwathama tried to kill Pandavas, but he could not kill them. So in his hurry, he killed Upapandavas. So there many stories were there. After that, Sri Parva, the lament began. After lament, Shanti Parva, Raja Dharma Anusasana Parva, Apadharma Parva, Moksha Dharma Parva. This is an excellent thing. Every human being should learn a lot from these Parvas. Even this Anusasana Parva, Dana Dharma Parva and Bhishma Sargarohana Parva is like it. It's a good thing. And after the Dana Dharma Parva, I'm not giving more details of every event. Just I explained you certain events which are not commonly touched by the people. That's right. So you have a good knowledge of Mahabharata. I appreciate. So Dana Dharma Parva and Bhishma Sargarohana Parva is there. Bhishma Sargarohana Parva is a holiday even to the entire earth. In such a way it is considered. And Ashwamedha Parva, Anugita Parva. I was telling you about this. Anugita is equally holy, equally noble, and in certain aspects it is greater than Bhagavad Gita. After Ashwamedha Parva, while Krishna and Arjuna were coming back from a war, Arjuna asked, so I, in a mood of fighting against my enemies, when I requested, you started imparting me Bhagavad Gita. It was great. I had a wonderful experience, but during the war and after the war, the after war consequences, I forgot all these things. I request you to give me Anugita, please, instead, he said. Not Anugita, I request you to repeat the Bhagavad Gita, he said. That time he didn't repeat Bhagavad Gita, but he said he imparted him Anugita. That Anugita is a great thing. It is also a great boon to all the people, but it is not so popular as Bhagavad Gita. And then Ashramavasa Parva and Uttaradarshana Parva, Naradagamana Parva, all these were there. And okay, Adi Parvani Vakshyananam Sankhya. Why this Adi Parva is there? So Ashramavasika Parva. After that, Sargarohana Parva, there are no this one classifications. That is why this is about all the Parvas of the Mahabharata. And in brief, to know about Mahabharata is this. Now, if you have any questions, we can take them. Otherwise, we can wind up this speech.
Okay, sir. We will allow it one by one.
Asking a question. So about Karna, like why did he suffer so many curses from a lot of people, like Parasurama or
Karna alone got such curses in his life, or are there any other persons who received curses? Karna received curses. Okay, I will explain the reasons. And similarly, actually, the curse of the earth is not in the Mahabharata. So actually, it is a fabricated story. Some girl is taking oil to her home. He crushed the clay, and from that he tried to squeeze the ghee. Could that squeezed ghee be helpful to him, to the other people? No. Still he tried. Out of his eagerness he did it, not intentionally. But while crushing the clay, the Mother Earth got pain. It is a story, a fabricated story. It is not there in the Mahabharata. Here, Parashurama cursed him. Why did he curse? In the guise of telling lies that he is Brahmin, he approached and he learned. He was not defeated only by Arjuna. he was defeated by many other people also. The Shastra Vidya Upadesha, అంటే ఈ ద్రోణుడు శస్త్ర విద్యని వీళ్ళకి పాండవులకి కౌరవులకి ఉపదేశించిన తర్వాత గురుదక్షిణ అడుగుతాడు. హీ డిమాండ్స్ ఫర్ గురుదక్షిణ. When he asked for Gurudakshina, they were ready to pay it. How should Gurudakshina to be paid? Drupada, bring Drupada as having captured him, bring him to me, he said. First, the people who approached to capture Drupada were Duryodhana and Karna. Duryodhana and Karna along with their armies. In the hands of Drupada, they were utterly defeated. So, that is the first time Karna was defeated. Second one, during the Draupadi Swayamvara of Arjuna, he was defeated. Krishna's interference was not there. Arjuna fought alone and he defeated Karna. That was second time. And after that, during Ghosha Yatra, while these Pandavas were in the forest, during Ghosha Yatra, they wanted to, Duryodhana and others wanted to insult Pandavas by showing their richness. So when they were in such an attempt, Indra sent Gandharvas to fight against Kauravas and to capture them all. So first who ran away from the war field was Karna. He could not withstand against the Parakrama of the Gandharvas. That's why he ran away. After that, Duryodhana was captured and they were taking him away to the higher worlds. Who defeated this one, the Gandharvas? Arjuna. So, who is a greater warrior, Arjuna or Karna, between Kauravas and Arjuna? Then, in the Uttarago Grahana, when they have stolen the cows of Virata and they were running away, then in the form of Brihannala, Arjuna was there and Kumara was there. These two people went to the war field, they had a fight, and during that fight, you please read the text of Mahabharata. The first person who ran away from the war, in the war between Karna and Brihannala assumed the form of Arjuna, and the war began. In that war, the first person who ran away from the war field was Karna. During that fight also, Karna was defeated and again he came, and during that fight, Samohanastra was used by Arjuna, including Bhishma. Everyone fell down. Such a power was there for Samohanastra. Karna also fell down, lost his senses, and after that, this is one thing. And after that, in the war field, on the day of Saindhavavada, he was defeated in the hands of Bhima for 14 times. That was there. And similarly, in the hands of Satyaki, he was defeated. Satyaki also was brother of Krishna and disciple of Arjuna in the archery. And there was a fight between the Karna and this Satyaki. During that fight, he was defeated. So there are n number of defeats of Karna in the hands of many other warriors. And even during the war of the war with Ghatotkacha, he was defeated. At last, he used Ekaviragni. Hadn't he used that Ekaviragni, even then he cannot fight. He could not fight against Arjuna. That was for sure, because he has wonderful astras. Arjuna, he is a man of Samayaspurti. Samayaspurti means maintaining the timing. That was the great secret in the success of Arjuna. That's why, according to time, he uses his abilities, not according to his mind's direction. So, having a curse is because of his this one weakness, but that curse doesn't help him in being defeated by Arjuna. Arjuna is naturally a greater warrior, and the Pandavas also were naturally greater warriors. Here I want to tell you one secret, that Bhima was a great archer. During 18 days of Mahabharata war, he fought against his enemies for 17.5 days only with his bow and arrows. You can read Mahabharata. Only in the last half day war between him and Duryodhana, he used the mace, Gada. Till the time he fought with this bow and arrows only. So such great things are there. And people highlighted this weakness of Karna. So it is natural when a person is defeated, they start highlighting the weaknesses and they show them as virtues. But in fact, it's not like that. Arjuna is he is a peerless warrior, and Karna is an ordinary warrior. That is the difference. Okay.
With Arjuna on a warrior side is not at all. But when it comes to the curses for him, it is there is no sympathy is required towards him, because the
Yes.
kind of things he done it in with mindset.
Yes.
His mindset is a major reason, and the way he crossed all the dharma, and he was
Received
born to
the
that. He is born to that. When he does that and all these things, like
Yes.
he is the main
Particularly-
reason. In the main reason for the Draupadi Vastra Abhimanyu, whatever you referred, like
Yes.
that. So many, even in for Duryodhana, he was always there behind him
Yes, he was
to
just
pamper
supporting
him.
the bad.
Yeah, pamper him. So he is born today. Thank
A completely new facet of the Mahabharata, but and thank you so much. Much gratitude for you, sir. One question actually, sir. So there is one commentary on the Mahabharata. I think it is called as the Bhava Deepa or the Bharat Deepa. It is like supposedly like 3 or 4 times bigger than the Mahabharata. Do you have, will it be, by any chance, would you have the English version of it? All I can find is the Sanskrit version of it.
Yes, actually, there are 15 commentaries available over Mahabharata.
Okay.
It has become a great task even to bring the translation of the Mahabharata. When it is great task to bring mere translation of Mahabharata, expecting the translation particularly in English for a commentary which as per your information which is larger than Mahabharata for 15 times, we should start a venture for it, because we are already in a venture to translate Mahabharata into Telugu. It is in progress. Now we are doing it. And actually I got 3 projects. One is electronic text of the Mahabharata. We were the first people to bring out the electronic text of the Mahabharata in the entire earth. It was in 2011, 2010 even, 2009, by 9 we have completed it. Just in a single calendar year, we brought it out. And it is available in our website. It is also available with the TTD, and with the funds of TTD we did it. And after that, the second chance I availed from TTD is to bring out the Mahabharata in print form. This also was done. After bringing out the Mahabharata, so the third one we have done is now we are translating it. Actually, I got some pictures also. I'm wondering why I could not see them here. So in 142 pictures, we have brought the entire Mahabharata, and we, I think it is there in the second, this one. This we have here, but yes, these are all the pictures. So from the Ashwamedhika Parva, Ashramavasika Parva, all these are there. In this, here on Vedes Chaturbhya Sanyukta, Vyasasya Adbhuta Karmana. So like this, we have drawn pictures for every event. These are our own pictures drawn by Kochi. You might have known him. So he is our dearest friend. He drew all these pictures, and this we animated astras also. Yes. But here only pictures are being shown to you all.
Evidence that he's actually done a lot of dharma, right? Because that when he gives off his armor, that time it is more like for pride. I don't want this armor, so you take it and go. Other than that, is there any evidence in the Mahabharata which actually says that he did so much of dharma?
No, actually,
It is not dharma, it is dana. Yeah.
But all the supporting stories are not traceable in the Mahabharata about his dana guna. That's what it is sure. So, in fact, Karna is an ordinary warrior. The rivalry between Karna and Arjuna is not of this birth. Because I am tired, I am not touching that topic. Actually, it requires 1 hour narration. So it is in the Padma Purana, and according to Padma Purana and Skanda Purana, there is a story, and the birth of the previous birth of Karna and Arjuna. That is a great thing, and I don't want to touch it now. But
Okay, sir. But Arjuna is a Nara, right?
yes, Nara.
Yeah. Okay.
He is a Sahasra Kavacha created by Brahma.
Right.
In one of the Upanyasams, right? Okay, so I was when I was listening to that, so the Pravachaka, he was saying that Bhishma Acharya is actually a Grihastha, and that the evidence for that is found in one of Shankaracharya's guru's work, Kumaril Bhatta. He has presented a work where he brings out that Bhishma Acharya is actually a Grihastha.
I'm sorry to say no for this, because whatsoever may be the source the people are showing, people declare that it is in the Kumarila Bhatta's text. Can we see the quotation thing? And the 5 threads, single thread, and all these threads, these are not Dwapara Yuga dharmas. These are the dharmas of our Kali Yuga. Second one. And Treta Agni also, we need an evidence for it. And even if he is burned through Treta Agni, not because of his being a Grihastha, but because of he is the forefather, the grandfather of all these people, for that reason. And Brahmachari should be burnt like this. All these things are Kali Yuga dharmas according to Apastamba Grihi Sutra, and other Grihi Sutras is different. And the tradition of Dwapara Yuga is different. So all these things are to be taken into consideration. But in the Mahabharata, there is nowhere any mention of the wife of Bhishmacharya. Bhishma is a staunch Brahmachari. And further, I told you, Brahmacharya is not merely by his stays. By observing the Brahmacharya ashrama, also he is a Brahmachari. Brahmani charati yasya manaha saha Brahmachari. So because of that reason, also he is Brahmachari.
Strings in Upanayana, that whatever Yajnopaveta, we have in so many places within India itself, there is a number is a different.
Yes, number is
So yeah, we documented it because Vijayendra Saraswati Swamiji very keen on that to find
Yes.
out that, and he asked like market in location wise how many these things they use it. So we are doing that.
Interestingly,
Yeah, please sir, go ahead.
interestingly, in Kashmir, Kshira Bhavani Devi is there. In her description, if we see, Naga Yajnopavitini, she is described. She is having Yajnopavita. Even women were having Yajnopavitas in those days.
Right, sir. Yeah.
That-
Draupadi got married these Panchapandavas. For
Yes.
that, many people comments about her and the integrity. But according to our Bharatas and other things, people says the Panchapandavas are though 5 different forms, but Ekasvarupa. They call it as Ekasvarupa, and they divide into 5. Is it true, sir?
Yes, actually, the answer for this is available in the Skanda Purana and other Puranas. There they mentioned that Draupadi was Swargalakshmi, and these Pandavas, besides having the Amsha of Yamadharmaraja, Vayudeva, and Swini Devatas and Indra, besides this, each of these have the Amsha of Indra, because each one of these 5 Pandavas were once Indras who ruled the Amaravati. That's why, because these were Indras, because Draupadi was Swargalakshmi, she was the common property of all these 5. So that is what. As per the story, if we see that actually they didn't reveal that she brought that they brought Draupadi to Kunti, but they told, we brought a fruit. They said, fruit of our efforts. They said, okay. When it is a fruit, Kunti told them to share among the five. That's why, according to the mother's words, they followed and have a share of Draupadi, and it became a dharma. Though there was a discussion in the same instance itself, and particularly before the marriage of the eldest one, the lower one should not get married. That's why all of them together married her for many reasons of this kind. So when it is a history, is it true or is it legal or is it meaningful? All such questions cannot be given a place, because if it is a fabricated story or a fiction written by Vedavyasa, we can say, but he recorded what had happened, and there was some dharma in it also. So all these are available. So it happened. So stetasya gatis chintaniya. Whatever has happened, we have to think about it.
Good answer, Sachin. That's it.
ఆ దుర్యోధనుడు మయసభలో వచ్చినప్పుడు ద్రౌపది ఎందుకు నవ్వుతుంది?
నవ్వలేదు.
ఆ.
ద్రౌపది నవ్వినట్టు మహాభారతంలో లేదు. అందుకని పాంచాలి పద్యభర్తృక, అసలు పాంచాలి పద్యభర్తృక అనేటువంటిది తెలుగులో పాంచాలి అంటే బిలాంగ్స్ టు ది కింగ్డమ్ ఆఫ్ పాంచాల. They have translated it into Telugu. Pajja Ali. Ali means wife of five people. Like that they have translated, and they started giving a long dialogue for Duryodhana, which could impress all the audience. But it is not true. Secret here, not about Maisabha, about the tendency of Duryodhana. In the Ramayana, this Ravana was the manifestation of desire, kama. Whereas in the Mahabharata, Duryodhana was the manifestation of artha. He wanted to be called king, royal king, Sarvabhauma, and like that. For that sake, he started doing all kinds of nonsense. So this is one nonsense. He wanted to grab that Maisabha from Pandavas. For that sake, he behaved like that. And this one, Mahabharata, there was no instance of Draupadi's laughing at the fall of this one.
Thank you for enlightening us and with a lot of information.
So, namaskar. Pranams to all. Pranams, my special pranams to Vijayendra Saraswati Swamivari, and blessings to all the youngsters. And I wish every one of you must become a great Arjuna.